Well, hey there, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Ryland Russell here, and we're doing another live stream. Today, we're going to be answering your questions, whatever Q&A stuff you guys have out there for me on this Thursday afternoon. We're going to talk what's new in the worship and tech world, what stuff has come out in the last week since we did this, and then I've also got a few live stream submissions that have been submitted. If you are interested in having me, for some reason, take a look at your church's live stream, there is a form that's attached in the description of this video that you can just hop on there. It's a Google form and helps me understand kind of how you're doing things at your church. And then maybe on the next live stream, We can take a look at your church, and it's not just me throwing out the feedback. Hopefully the community, all of us that are in this together, can help each other become the best that we can be. So if you aren't a subscriber, I do have the chat limited to subscribers only, just because if you want to invest in getting some feedback, I'd love it if you would help me out and just subscribe to the channel. I'm always trying to put out stuff that will help the worship and tech world, stuff that I'm learning. So what's been going on? How's y'all's week been? Has it been good? Has it been crazy? Any craziness? Obviously, if you caught my last Sunday vlog, it was an interesting Sunday. If you haven't watched it, go back and take a look at it. We lost power right before our second service started, so it changed everything, right? And it was great. It was no big deal. Do I want it to happen every Sunday? No. But a change of pace, it just kind of threw everything had to go plan B on it, and it was fine. And it was kind of cool. So go back and watch that. It was a fun vlog. It was so funny because I literally started my morning I was out there just vlogging. I was like, I think it's just another normal Sunday. Like, hopefully nothing catastrophic happens, but it is a Sunday. You never know. So I think I spoke that into existence. I would love to know where you're watching from today in the world. I know we have people joining us all over the place, from England to South Africa, who knows? So if maybe you're in Oklahoma like me, I'd love to hear from my fellow Okies. Say hello, tell me what you're doing today. And before we jump into the questions, I thought I'd just kind of share what I've been doing this week. So if you have a question, drop it in the comments right now, and we'll hop into some of those. I have been on a lift a lot this week. So let's see here. I did get a little pic. Oh, that's not it. Hold on. There I am. Changing out some Source 4 Junior bulbs. Had to do about 8. We don't own a lift, so we always have to rent a lift. So I try to wait as long as I can to change out, the burnout ones. Do you like being on a lift? Does it freak you out? It doesn't really freak me out, but this one's pretty wobbly. It's just a little man lift. And then we were actually also installing some new front key lighting. I don't know if you saw that post on the community tab. On the left there, you can see the new lights, the Chauvet Slimpar VWs that we're using to supplement the Source 4 Juniors that we already have. Where I'm putting them, I don't have enough amps and stuff, amperage, to be able to support any more Source 4s. We have more Source 4s. I can't put them where I need them. So I got these Chauvet Slimpar variable white fixtures, and I was just trying to do some color match on them trying to get them to about 4,000 Kelvin, because our Source 4s are right around 4,000 Kelvin. We put CTB on those, which is just a blue gel to make it a little more white to get that color temperature up. So I was doing that. Been on a lift a lot this week. Lots of crazy stuff going on. I hope you've had a good week as well. And I'm about to just wrap it up. This work week, and we do have a funeral tomorrow here at the church, but everything should be tidied up for Sunday, and hopefully we don't lose power. All right, so let's hop into the chat and let's answer some questions as we get going today. And I'm glad that you're joining us for the live stream. Let's see. Oh, goodness. What did I do? I'm trying to get my VW wording. I was trying to show your comment here. I'm going to open up my ATEM software. For some reason, my key is not working again. But that's okay. You guys can see the comments. He says, I would really like to hear your group singing through wired Shure SM58s at least one time. Why is that? Like, because you think we sing so well and it would just be so beautiful? Or do you think that it would be better than right now we're using wireless Beta 87As. So you have to clarify it to me why you would like that. I've got some great singers that sing with me that are honestly a lot better than I am. So I'm sure it would be beautiful. Let's see if I can get y'all's comments on there. Go to my downstream key, or don't y'all just love? Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, I got to adjust that now. For some reason, my ATEM does not save my settings for the clip, no matter if I choose save that startup state. Joshua Chilton says, thanks for doing these. We're trying our hand. We're trying our hand at a LED strip light stage design for the first time. And he says the soldering of the ends of those is very difficult for me. Any tips on how you did it and power supply recommendations? Our power supplies are melting. Goodness. Yeah. So find someone in your church that is good at soldering. That's what I did until I learned, because I destroyed multiple LED strip tape on my own. I had a couple people that were working at places where they made electronics, and they had like the magic arm already where you could put the things on there and it holds it for you, the third arm, not magic arm. And they were very good at pre-soldering. If you're not doing that, make sure you're doing that. I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos on learning how to do it, tinning the wire and all that stuff. So if you get a good soldering gun that you can control the temperature on, that's actually pretty helpful too, because you don't need it super duper hot, because you can burn those little contact points on your wire, on your LED tape. And as far as power supplies go, I can drop what we've used in the description. I'll link to it after this show, after I get done with it here. We probably have 15 of them around the church. They're kind of these computer looking supplies that you can use that have been really great. So hopefully that helps, Joshua. Thanks for that question. Jay Walker asks, do you have your service playing on lobby TVs or anywhere else in the building? If so, what do you play on services you don't stream? That's a good question. So the way we have our lobby TV system set up is it is an SDI feed that's going out of basically a Blackmagic SDI splitter. And we have two options that we can send to it out of a little push button SDI switcher. One is the ProPresenter announcement loop feed. That is a separate feed coming out of our Decklink Duo. So the fourth output or whatever, that's just always running announcements. So whenever we don't want people to see what's happening in the sanctuary out in all our lobby TVs, we do have tons of lobby TVs. Actually, I've got a TV here in my office that has the same feed. We run those announcement loops. But then when the service starts, they just click the button and switch over to our program feed that goes into that as well from our ATEM. And then all the TVs in the building get that at that point. So all the TVs get the same thing. Now, I have installed at a local school, an elementary school, the Proclaim app, but I only used it with stills and JPEG images. That it's a free digital signage app. So if all you're wanting is digital signage, you might look into the Proclaim app. I might make a video about that at some point. They just run off of a Fire Stick. And so, yeah, hopefully that helps. Let's see what else you got going. Julian. Hey, man. Hello from Germany. What time is it in Germany right now, Julian? Are you up late? Or is this the morning? JD. Hello from Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona. I did 2 mission trips to Phoenix, Arizona. One in the ghetto and one at some giant Baptist church that had like multiple gymnasiums. And the ghetto was way more fun. Good little ice cream truck guys that went around there. And it was just cool. So, well, hello to you, JD. David, he says, I've been under my stage all week redoing the supports. Yeah. Good luck, man. Hopefully you got an engineer helping you with that. Tyler, hey, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Awesome. And the man of the hour, my father, the Sultan of Smooth. Hey, Dad. All right, guys. Well, I hope you're having a good week. If you do have other questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll talk through stuff. I will... Let's see if I can show you guys. Okay, before we get to the worship tech news, let me just call your attention to something that I've used in my ministry for a couple years now, and that is Soundstripe. Soundstripe is where I get all of my music. So like the music that you're hearing before, the pre-show here is all coming from Soundstripe. We use Soundstripe to do all of our countdown music before our services, so that way we don't have to deal with copyright infringement things on YouTube. I've got a couple of playlists that I will link to in the description that we use for contemporary, and then we use for a more traditional service, kind of pre-service stuff. But I love Soundstripe. It's very cost effective. And if you want to get, I know it said 30% off, but if you want the good plan, then use my code. Use the code Ryland for 10% off your subscription, or use that 30% off if it really is legit. Check it out. But I like Soundstripe. It's been good. I get a little kickback if you use the code Ryland. So maybe combine codes. I doubt it'll let you. But yeah, I love Soundstripe. You guys using Soundstripe? What are you using out there for your your licensable music? Are you using Artlist or one of the other ones? What do you like? I mean, I'm open to changing, but I really do like Soundstripe. It's been really, really good. Jay Walker asks, are you running SDI to all the TVs? Yes. Yes, we are. When I first came here, we had VGA ran to all of them, actually. Yeah, I wouldn't carry it. So now we're sending 1080p at 2997 to all the TVs throughout the building. And that is all going over Belden 1694A with Blackmagic SDI to HDMI converters at each TV. And then it loops out of that onto the next TV. And then at 2 points in the building, we actually have SDI distribution, I think it splits it into like 6. They're Blackmagic boxes to kind of split off to different points of the building. So if one of those boxes powers down for some reason, don't power it off the TV, the USB of the TV. Never do that. Always wall power those little Blackmagic converter boxes, so that way they're always on. And then it'll just loop out. But if you lose power to one of those, then the chain is broken. So that's kind of one bad thing about that. But we just didn't want to do home runs all the way back to our main distro. And we don't have like a Blackmagic video hub or anything like that, which would be amazing. Maybe we will someday. Marco from Germany too. It's 22:13 here. So 10:13 p.m., right? Yeah. Military time. Or 10:14 p.m. Thank you. Yes. Aaron says, watching from Jacksonville, Florida. The sunny Jacksonville, Florida. Awesome, man. Joey in the house. Great to have you, man. And Julian says he's using Audio. Got a lifetime membership for €200. I think that's euro. It's a pretty unbeatable price at that point. Yeah, man. I've never heard of Audi.io. But if they have good stuff, that's a good deal for sure. Anytime you can get away from the renewing or a recurring monthly expense, it's great, because basically 3/4 of my Visa bill is just recurring charges for our worship ministry. So what questions do you have? Post those in the chat and we will chat. Interesting tech news that I have seen. Something really, really piqued my interest. And you may have seen it, you may have not, but it was this right here, and it was posted by Drake Kelch, who you've probably seen before, but maybe didn't know it. And it is this Defy, let me turn myself off, Defy rhythm track. So this is a new system that Defy, if you've never heard of Defy, you need to check them out. Maybe I can pull up their website in just a second. They have the Dactyl Cam, which is a cable cam that I think Bethel and a few other churches use. But Defy has come out with this rhythm track, and he has installed these. I think it's Octane Media is his company. He's installed these in a couple of churches. And essentially what this is a dolly system that he said can go up to 30 miles an hour, and it's unmanned. It's all motorized. So I'm curious. I've got an email. We've been talking over email. I'm curious on the cost of a system like this. but it can go super slow and it can go very fast to get kind of like feel like you're running across the back of the crowd kind of shot. A similar feel as the cable cam that we have at our church, but you've seen these churches that have these floor dolly systems, and I've looked at them before. I've checked out, I think, what's it called? It looks like basically a Roomba, a vacuum that's motorized. But it's a dolly. It's called Dolly One by Edelkrone. That's who it's by. But it only goes, I think it's like three miles per hour. It was very slow. It would go like 15 feet in like 30 seconds, maybe. It was too slow, for a shot in the back of the room kind of thing. Wouldn't be worth it. But this is interesting. If you don't know who Defy is, yeah, check them out. There's no info on their website yet, but you can go follow. I'll show you his Instagram handle so you can keep an eye out for any new stuff. Let me pull it up here. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, Drake Kelch. Seeing his face now, you may have seen that he did a lot of stuff with Bethel Church, and I believe he's now doing his own thing with Octane Media. And so check him out on Instagram. We were chatting on there. Super nice guy, but for some reason he's got the inside scoop with this company. So what else you guys want to chat about? I've got some other things, but I'd love to, answer any questions that you may have, worship and tech related. I mean, just a little about me. Most of my videos that are on my channel they seem to be mostly tech stuff that I'm learning. But I'm a worship pastor at heart. I mean, I was a full-time media director at a different church 12 years ago. And so that's when I kind of started getting into the tech world a little more. I was kind of thrown into that situation in a great way as a full-time ministry job. But my heart's always been leading worship. But I love taking all the pieces and kind of producing this experience for everyone to take part in that is all pointing in the same direction. And so when I came here to Central in Owasso, I really started trying to invest in our media side of things and ramp that up and make it all kind of this beautiful experience as we worship God. And so I love using technology, and that's why a lot of this comes out in my YouTube stuff, because I know we're all kind of trying to figure out how to do this stuff on a budget. But I really want to connect with more worship leaders as well. And so I'll be putting out some more videos about just leading worship. And so hopefully that connects with some of you as well. I know a lot of you guys are kind of behind the scenes tech guys. So Aaron in the house says, I tried the cinematic lyrics. My pastor loves it. Yay. Well, good. I'm glad. We are sticking with it. If you don't know what we're talking about with the cinematic lyrics, I put out a YouTube video showing how I'm using Pro Presenter to add black bars on top and bottom of what we are doing for our stream. And so I basically am copying Red Rocks Church, what they're doing, and we've liked it. We're sticking with it for now, and we'll see how it evolves. So I'm glad. I'm glad it worked. David asks, how do you manage a lot of microphone receivers? I have them mounted on the back of the stage wall that's cable managed to the DL32R mixer. So when you're asking how do I manage them, are you saying that they're wireless microphone receivers and managing the wireless part of that and the RF management? Or are you talking about managing cables? I'm assuming you're talking about the first. So we have probably 8 Shure ULX4 systems that are rack mounted back at the soundboard area. If you look at my redo of our tech booth redo remodel tour, you can see those. And pretty quickly we realized with that many receivers, we needed to get an antenna distribution system. So we bought the Shure antenna distro. It just takes up one rack unit, and then I think it can do 6 of those Sures, they plug into the antenna distro, and then you have two big fins that you can place. We placed them on either side of our sound booth, and that has helped with that a lot. We were still getting dropouts every once in a while, and recently, actually, I rescanned our systems. I was thinking about using the Shure wireless workbench that you can use to find the best frequencies. I ended up not having to, just because we just did some scanning on the actual units themselves, and that was good. So hopefully that answered your question. Joey asks, what are some systems that you use automation on? Okay. So I've talked a little bit about that in my previous vlog about how to find volunteers. Because you, in today's age, in worship ministry tech stuff, we literally could automate everything over MIDI or through an Ableton session or Pro Tools or whatever you wanted to do. I could have one person, I could click a button at my feet that sends a MIDI note back to the back, and it plays all the lyric stuff. It fires the light cues at the right times. It mixes the soundboard, and it switches my cameras. Like, I'm sure you've seen some guys that automate even camera switching. So we don't do hardly any of that, even though we could. Usually all that I automate is our lyrics. And the reason that I've chosen to automate our lyrics, which I need to make a video on because I've had so many messages in the last 2 weeks about, I saw that you're using some kind of timeline in ProPresenter with your lyrics. Like, what's happening? I need to make a video on how we're doing that. But we send all of our tracks through ProPresenter. It's just a left-right mix. And then we're using the timeline function that's pre-recorded on the slides on when they change and when videos fire and all that kind of stuff. The reason we chose to do that is because since we're using ProPresenter to send our lower thirds using multiple different audience looks, we need that to never fail. Sometimes I have blank slides mixed in. If somebody's operating that and they don't click it at the right time, or they skip a slide or whatever, they skip an audience look. So I've chosen to do it that route as of now. So we automate that. Certain times we will send MIDI over to Jan's Vista and automate our light cues to where that is synced up. And I think that's it. So essentially lyrics during the songs and every once in a while lights. And that's being sent from ProPresenter. So yeah, good question. Yeah, Joey has another question. What are some things you do to help lighten the load of service prep during the week? Well, I'm very conscious about what songs we're doing and really being intentional about not doing new songs or even new arrangements of songs all at the same time. I used to be the person doing every single thing, so it was really for myself to not have to program all new light cues and all that kind of stuff. But trying to think through that for my volunteers, have the people on my team played the song before? How many new songs are we introducing? I usually only introduce one new song every 5 or 6 weeks. We do it 2 weeks in a row, take off a week, and then do it again the next week. So those are things that I think through. We have all of our lighting cues saved song by song, so they can pull those back up. All of our lyric stuff is all saved. So those things help. Let's see. Aaron has a great question. What is the best budget camera to buy under $600? So Aaron, if you will, tell me how you want to use this camera. Do you need it to be a broadcast style camera that has like zoomable things on the handle down here for the people operating it? Is this something that you're going to use in multiple areas of your church? Would it be just a wide shot that you're sitting there unmanned? But for a camera underneath $600, I would recommend looking at 2 options, maybe 3. First, I would look at used cameras. I have tons of used cameras. I think all but maybe 2 of my cameras are used cameras that I bought off eBay or Facebook Marketplace. I love, the Panasonic line. This is my GH5 right here. You're not going to get that for $600, but I did see that on Amazon right now, they're selling the G85, which is a great camera with built-in stabilization, 4K, all that stuff, unlimited record time. It can be left on, powered on, all that kind of stuff. I think it was selling for $698 with a lens. So that's a 12 to 60 lens, I think. I can link that in the description after I finish here today. You could also look at the new Sony ZV-E10, which is kind of the replacement for the Sony a6400 that I know a bunch of people, Jake has recommended that from Churchfront for a long time. But there's really no reason to go with the a6400, I don't think, over the ZV-E10, and I believe it is $700. Now, that's just the body only. That's not lenses. So if you need something cheaper than that with the lens, then I don't know. You're probably looking at like a Canon camcorder. I don't know how much like a XA40 or something like that used would be. Panasonic G7 is always a great option as well too. I've gotten those for $250 on eBay. So check eBay for used mirrorless cameras. I would not get like a Canon M50 or a Canon M50 Mark II because those have record limits on them, which means the camera's going to shut off after 30 minutes unless you're doing it over USB into your system. So hopefully that helps. He says the man follow camera on pastor will need zoom. So, okay, you're looking at something more in that Canon entry level. Is it XA11, the XA series, and then just choose one that fits your budget. But I might even lean towards getting a G7 with just a prime lens, like a 100mm prime, and use that because I think it would look better. JD has a good question. What software are we using for lighting? I think that's his question. Lighting cues, maybe. We are using Jans Vista, and I'm still using version 2. I want to upgrade to version 3, but there's a thing with our M1 unit that has the sliders on it that version 3 does not play nice with it. So I've still yet to upgrade. We're still on Jans Vista version 2. We've been super happy. Had it for years and years and years. It's been great. Let's see. Other worship and tech news that happened this last week. And I want to know if you guys are affected by this. The hubbub, the scuttlebutt, I don't know, is that a thing? Is that Resi that does all the encoding stuff that tons of churches have begun to use, sold out or got bought out by Pushpay. I don't use either of them. We use Restream and have been super happy with Restream. You can get 50% off Restream by using the code REStudio50, REStudio50, which is a great deal. That I don't get anything from that. That's just a bonus for you. But a lot of people are saying like that makes me worried for Resi because I guess Pushpay has been really horrible for a lot of churches. So are you using Resi? Does that make you worried about continuing to use Resi? I think the resilient streaming thing is a little overhyped in my opinion, unless you don't have decent internet. If you have double the bandwidth of what you're sending out, I think resilient streaming for the everyday church that's just trying to push their stream to YouTube and Facebook, or YouTube or Facebook, or to Restream or something like that, I don't think you need resilient streaming. We've never had, well, I say never, rarely have we had an issue with, a stream buffering for a minute and then losing part of it or packet loss or whatever. Resilient streaming, I believe, is the way I understand it, I could be wrong, is better. I mean, you're not going to lose any packets. You're not going to lose any data because it has such a big buffer on it. The way it uses, man, I sound like a noob probably. It's buffering it so much that you don't lose anything, and it makes sure that all the data gets sent out. But you do have a lot more latency with that. But it's like guaranteed. But if you have double the bandwidth, like, I'm not sure you need it. But are you guys using Resi? Like, do you think, is it a worry? I mean, Josh, he says here, we use both. Curious what will happen with it. Well, maybe it's good for you if you use both, Josh, because maybe you'll get a discount now. If you're using Resi and Pushpay and they're combining forces, maybe that's a good thing for you. Are you using Pushpay? Is that what Planning Center pushes? We do everything through Planning Center except our online giving. That is still with our old system. And I wondered if Pushpay, is that a Planning Center thing? I don't know. And I don't use Pushpay, so I don't know what everybody's problem with it is, but I've just heard bad things. Julian asks a good question. Have you tried the BitFocus companion software with the Elgato Stream Deck? You can control the ATEM switcher with it. We've been using it for about a year, and it's really great. So yes, Julian, I do have a Stream Deck. I have the Stream Deck Mini that we use, and I literally only use it for one thing, and that is to clear everything in ProPresenter except our announcement feed. ProPresenter still has not fixed the problem that I have where for years and years, our operators click F1. They click clear all in the corner to clear things, during rehearsals or just during the services. Sometimes you want to clear the screens. But right now, when you do that in ProPresenter 7, it clears your hallway feed. And so the hallways, the whole point is that they're just like always looping on those announcement feed. So they made these macros that you can do that and add all the clear alls except your main display if you click the macro, but it's still not assignable to a hotkey on your keyboard like an F1 or F2. So you still would have to use a Stream Deck. So all that we're doing right now is we have one button on the Stream Deck that hits clear all, and it clears everything except the announcement layer. I've seen very, very elaborate Stream Deck things. Right now, our guys that operate the ATEMs just use a numeric keypad because our graphics are on a separate ATEM than our cameras. We have two ATEMs. So I'm sure I could probably get them to talk together to where, like, when we're doing things, we could have Companion tell it to do fancy things. But that's about as much. That's about as much as I've used. Josh, he's got some more info on the Resi. It's about a 90-second delay, but it saves and compares packets and frames at every connection. Yeah. So, but I mean, I've streamed for 6 years here at our church, and we did it over 10 megabytes per second, sending out 5 megs. And I can count on one hand the number of times that we've had issues. I mean, we're not a multi-site church sending out a live broadcast to other places. We're not sending it to TV. Like, if they lose 5 seconds once a year, I'm okay with that. So I don't know. So he's got also says Pushpay connected with Church Community Builder, CCB, and they use that. Okay, maybe I think Planning Centers is Stripe. That's probably what it is. I feel like I saw that one time. Okay, well, guys, now it is time. The time has come for a little part of the show that I like to call. Can you tell that I'm just riffing until I find it here in Planning Center or in ProPresenter? A little time of the show that I like to call "Get Off My Church Lawn."
What's all that racket?
If it's not from the Broadman, I don't even sing it. They just don't make music like they used to.
Well, this is a part of the live stream where I like to look at a song that has come out in the last week, because there's always new bangers coming out every week on YouTube, on Spotify, Worship Together, all the different places. I want to look at it through the eyes of a worship pastor and not be the old dude who's like, what is this newfangled music? You call that worship music? Because the church culture changes quickly, and I want to be, I don't want to be the guy that says change is bad, because I don't think it is. Not to say that every song that comes out is a good song. So in this last week, there is a new song that I guess has been being played for about 6 months over at Elevation. It came out. Have you heard it? It's called "Might Get Loud." Now, today, I have not heard one thing of this song except people raving about it. So the song "Might Get Loud" by Elevation. We're going to look at it right here together, and I'm just going to react to it as a worship pastor, and I would love for you guys to tell me your thoughts on the song. So let's get into it. I don't have to do every song that these churches do, and I think that a lot of times people fall into that trap. be real and be authentic and serve your church. Like, I'm not sure. I'll have to listen to that song. I usually listen to a song 100 times before I ever decide if we're going to do it or not. So what do you guys think? Is that one that you will put in your sets? We the Kingdom, thank you, Adam. And he also says, you know how the worship pastor loves bridges. Well, yeah, because you got to repeat it like 12 times, right? Yeah, thank you guys. We the Kingdom. That's definitely who I was thinking of. That song reminded me kind of them. Musically, I would say it's refreshing that it's guitar driven. That I didn't hear like simple little like melodic hook thing on a keyboard. Not that I'm against those. It just seems like that's kind of what we do, is like, okay, we'll do 4 bars where we make up a little hook and then we'll go into it. It was different, so that's refreshing. I like the energy. But I'm not sure if it's a song I would use at my church. So be fun to rock out to, though, going down the road. Salt and Smooth, you know I like it. Yeah, you're a drummer. Of course you like it. Drummers and guitar players will be sending me those requests. All of my drummers and all my guitarists will be like, hey, it's like when Rattle came out. Did you ever do Rattle at your church? Please raise your hand if you did Rattle. Because when Rattle came out, it was like, we have to do this song. It's awesome. And I just, we haven't ever done it. Actually, I got an email this last week from a church member saying, we got to do Rattle. Joey, yes, I love the energy on stage. We struggle to have any energy on stage. Please don't do that song if you go, we might get loud. We might get loud. It's like the Colps from Saturday Night Live. Like, just that's, please don't do it. So, yeah, if that's not you and you can't pull it off, like, do what you're good at. So, anyways. Okay, guys, we have a few live streams that we're going to review together. So let's jump into that. Let me find some information here from who we've got first up. This is Jake Perrin. Jake's church we're going to do a few different setups. This first one they've done a lot with their setup. And then the second one is a very beginner setup that we're going to give feedback on. And the third one, I have not watched yet. So I just downloaded it a minute ago. But Jake's church, they have a couple of C200s in the back. One of them has a servo Canon lens, so that's super nice. If you don't know about cameras, C200s are these cinema cameras that a lot of churches are using. Red Rocks Church uses them. I know of a bunch that have used them. They leave one of those just on a wide shot. It's a very expensive wide shot. And then they use one for a follow cam. Then they have 2 EOS Rs on stage, and those are using, let me see if I can bring up the pictures here. So these are the ones in the back middle. So he's got the servo lens there on one of them. And then they are also running these 2 EOS Rs on stage, and they've got these very expensive Vaxis Storm wireless units. And they've got these small HD monitors for them to be able to see better. So they've spent and invested some money in these systems. He said they're using all manual focus, even though the dual pixel on those cameras is really good. So their guys are trained, obviously, and know how to do this stuff. They do also have a couple of, I think, Sony PTCs that they kind of just use. If they don't have anybody to run these cameras, they can use them for funerals or whatever. And I have seen them throw in a couple wide shots with these as well of just the whole room. So what I thought we'd do is he actually sent me the multi-view and the full service. So let's look at their multi-view for a minute and give some feedback to him on that.
Thank you so much for all the different ways that you serve here and for taking the time this morning to share.
So number 5 is a PTC that they don't really use.
Our service starts right now.
And over to 1. 1 is live.
So we're not going to evaluate the audio on this because this is the broadcast talking stuff. So I'm going to turn their volume down a little bit. Camera shot wise, you can see that they've got the 2 middle cams there on 1 and 2. One of them will never move, I don't think, and then number 2 follows. I mean, of course, the shots are going to look great. White balance looks great. They've got matching cameras, all Canon stuff. He didn't say, I don't think, if they were shooting in like log and then applying a LUT or something like that. But anyways, all 4 cameras are going to look great. I will say, when I did watch your pre-service stuff, your white balance on your people speaking didn't seem the same, your lighting. So you might just take a peek at that, whatever you're lighting them with, try to match that a little better. They seemed a little cool to me. And honestly, it kind of felt clunky. Like the energy wasn't there for me. Like as I'm watching, I don't know, like I want to get kind of pumped up for the service. Watch the church at Battle Creek. Check how they do their pre-service stuff. It's awesome. And it kind of really ramps up into worship. So you can kind of see how they're running their stuff. They're talking to their 3 operators. And now I want to switch over in just a minute and look at their main program feed. It's interesting how they have their chord sheets on their stage display. And that's something that I want to kind of look at a little bit more. So let's hop over into their service. This is just going to be one of their songs. I'm not sure where it's going to pick up here. So one thing that I will say is that your wide shot right here, it'd be cool if that did have just some zooming out, zooming in, looping motion or something like that. Since you got your other 2 cameras manned, other 3, you know, they're always moving, and then you go to that one that doesn't have movement. It's not the end of the world, but you know, you can maybe accomplish that. I'm not sure with a servo or with a we use a PD Live Air 2 zoom ring motor that just loops in and out. So you could try that. I don't know. It's just a thought. Looks like you guys are doing great. I like that you're not doing iMag, even though it looks like you're building you could. Let's listen a little bit to the mix.
Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Nothing but the blood of Jesus.
All right, so
Amen.
in my opinion, I have listened to this a little bit beforehand too.
Of all things foundational to our faith.
I don't
sing about the creed of our faith.
I don't like
with our Father.
How on your main vocalist, it's got this kind of spread where I can hear him stereo, but the center channel is kind of being panned out. Like I know some people will do that with instruments, but I don't like doing that on singers usually. And that maybe I'm not hearing that right, but is that happening? If you're in the comments, let us know. It seems a little tiny bit vocal heavy, but not terrible. And bro, you're doing a great job. So keep it up. Add some mellow flavor with some different things if you can. But yeah, you're doing really good. Okay, so now we're gonna hop over and look at a church that is just beginning in live streaming, and they're still using a cell phone. And what they're doing is something that's smart, and I want to show you guys first. This is David Thaxton, and let me play it for you, and then we'll kind of talk through what they're doing, and you guys can give some feedback. If you guys have any thoughts on that last church's stream, something that I was going to say, that Joshua says the chords on their stage display is cool. One thing I noticed where that stage display must be up a little bit because their singers, they weren't connecting with the audience or the cameras. I could see them glancing up at the screens a lot and then kind of coming back down and then up to the screen. And I'm guilty of that too. But if I had chords up there, I'd be way more guilty. I'd be glued to that thing, even though I know the songs. So I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on having all the chords up there because then everybody's just looking at the back wall like that playing, which I guess is better than looking like this at a chord sheet. So that's just a thought. Let's look at this next church. Who did I say this is from? David Thaxton. All right. And theirs is from a cell phone. So something that's interesting about what they're doing, and I think it's smart, is that during worship, they have not tried to incorporate a board mix. They're just doing ambient audio. Now, we're going to give a couple of thoughts on this, on how they can improve what they're doing. So let's listen just a little bit here as they get going. All right, so let's get to a bigger part of the song. Come on, band, play something. There we go. All right, so I'm not sure where you have this phone mounted, but obviously you're getting a lot of warpies. You need to put that tripod all the way to the ground. If it's sitting on top of a desk, move your little selfie stand or whatever onto something like a speaker stand that's to the ground, so you get rid of this vibration anytime that the drums play. I think you could get a attachment for your phone, a better shotgun mic, or even if you're already sending a board mix like you are for the pastor, maybe you just set up 2 audience mics and run them through your board. And that way, everything is still coming in through one mix from the board, but you're not mixing the band. You're just using 2 audience mics. The other thing that I noticed on here is that you're not quite in sync with your pastor whenever you switch to the board mix. I think you need to delay the audio a little bit, maybe like 100 milliseconds maybe. That's what most people have to do. So you might check that. But I like the idea of not trying to do a full audio mix if you're not ready for that. But that's one thing that I would suggest is maybe just throwing up a couple of audience mics, running them back through the soundboard. Obviously not out the speakers through the main house. For, I think, a full year, we did streaming from our cell phone. About 7 years ago, I think we started. And so, now we've evolved a lot, but there is nothing wrong with starting that way. And, sometimes just throwing up a couple of audience mics is not the worst thing in the world. Joshua says, putting the stage display TVs on the front row solves that. It looks like they're looking at the audience. That can help. Actually, the best place that you could put the stage display is actually right next to the cameras. So Church on the Move, and I've seen some other churches do this, where right where they have their cameras maybe in front of the soundboard area, instead of putting the screen up above them, there is a big TV screen right in between those 2 cameras or right below them. If you can, it depends on if you're a tapered, seating area or not. That definitely solves it. But yeah, front row is definitely not the worst thing in the world. As long as nobody stands in front of it or walks in front of it. So I hope that helped you out there. I think it was David Thaxton. We're going to do one final live stream review. And before we do this together, remember, if you want your church's live stream for us to kind of talk through it, there's a form in the description of this video where I'm going to put a lot of things that I've said I'm going to put in there. So I'll have to go back and watch. What did I say I'd put in the description for everybody? You can fill out that form for the following live stream review session. And this one came in from that, and it is from Drew Myers from the Cathedral Praise, and they use a Canon EOS RP, which is Oh, a good camera. Yeah, baby. So this is my EOS RP that I vlog with. This is my vlogging setup. Canon 20mm, old school, vintage. I actually just got the Canon adapter that's been out of stock for like a year. So I'm a fan of the RP. I want to ask you, Drew, does it not turn off after 30 minutes, or are you using it via USB? And then they are also using a Sony a6000. It's going into an ATEM Mini. So, and they're doing vMix. Looks like speaking camera is a Panasonic HC700. So let's take a look at it and see. This is Cathedral Praise, Drew Myers. Here we go. Little pre-roll. That must be their church. The video looks stuttery. Let's go back. Church Without Limits. I like this intro. It looks cool. I hope that we're close to it here. I'm running all these videos out of ProPresenter 6 on my MacBook Pro. And if you know Pro 6, starts now. Okay, it's hard to fast forward and rewind. So this must be the RP. I'll turn myself off here.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight?
If this is the Canon RP, you can get a much better image than this, unless your bit rate for streaming is too low. I just see a lot of artifacts. I mean, I downloaded it off YouTube, so it's going to be compressed, but it was 1080p. So, you know, what bit rate are you streaming at? If you are in the chat, Drew, let us know. This is the 35mm. I'm not sure why the flag is so huge, but you know, if that's how your church rolls, that's how your church rolls. That's not what you wanted feedback on. So the audio mix I like. Let's listen. And it appears that he's in the case of a lot of churches. Okay, this week they didn't have a drummer. So the tracks are kind of filling in that. Vocals sound good. Keys sound good. So far we've only seen this one camera, so maybe this isn't the best stream to pick. I don't know. Let's fast forward and see what else we see. He said he has two Sony a6000s. Here's the Panasonic speaking cam.
Guide, but you know what, man, we need to lift up Diane, pray for their whole family. I know this is a day we're living in, and you know what?
Okay, let's see if we go back into worship.
You have freedom today, church. If you want to come forward, come.
Delivery.
All right, so they're doing some altar call stuff. Here we go. He gets to wear a hat? Man, I want to wear a hat. That wouldn't fly at our church. I just haven't seen any of the other camera angles, so I can't give you feedback on them. But I like the key light on you. That looks nice. Your white balance looks good on skin tones. Are you guys seeing anything? Drew does say here that it doesn't turn off. He's using it through HDMI. That is really interesting, because all of my other Canons that I've used, I have a lot of things on screen right now, I'm sorry. I really like the loop you're using on this song. All of my other Canons turned off after, I think, 30 minutes if they weren't touched. You know, like if the shutter button wasn't hit, or if you didn't adjust focus or something like that. So that is intriguing to me. let's look at the lyrics a little bit here. So in this shot, your lyrics look great. You can read them, that kind of thing. This shot, it's hard to read the lyrics with no stroke or shadow or a box. So that is one feedback I'd give you. You might look at. We had the same kind of issues before, and so that's why I've moved to doing our boxed look, and I've been happy with it. So I have a video on my channel you can look at for that, or even just adding a stroke to your lyrics or a box behind them might help that a little bit. And if you're going to frame that shot like that, Drew, then with all this headroom up here, so you've got tons of headroom. The top third of the screen is headroom in this shot. And I don't know if that's to show the flag. To me, this shot is saying, look at the flag. And, you know, you could put your lyrics up there on the top third if it's just going to be blank area up there. I would reframe this lower to where, you know, your head is in the top right third, if that makes sense. I like the way that you're leaving space towards the area that you're looking towards, instead of putting yourself in the center of the frame with maybe nothing behind you, with this angle. One thing I would say is with those A6000s, hopefully you're using those to show like a wide shot of the room. I think it's really important to have just an establishing wide shot, a medium shot, and a close shot. If you only have 3 cameras, that's kind of what I would go with. And hopefully one of those you can adjust to just be between medium and wide and flip around back and forth. So anything else that you guys see that you might give Drew feedback on? I think the mix for what you were doing band-wise that day is really good. Okay, Joey says too much headroom on the main shot. Yeah, I saw that too. So main vocal verb is great. Yeah, I thought the main vocal sounded really cool. Drew says the A6000 is the drum cam. So since nobody was playing drums, you didn't use it on that one. And it's also the follow cam. Okay. Yeah, Jorge, I don't know. I'll have to plug this into my ATEM and see, and just leave it, you know, plugged in and see if it doesn't turn off, because I was just thinking it would. Ryland, that's me. Aaron says, I do my church broadcast at 8,000. My platform is Boxcast. They send to Facebook and YouTube and give us a website player for $99 a month with no limited bandwidth. I mean, hey, that's not a bad deal. Like I said, we use Restream, and we're sending from a web presenter HD. And I think we paid, with the Restream discount that I told you guys about earlier in the stream, we paid $250 for the whole year, and it sends it up to 3 RTMP servers. So we could do the same thing, but for much cheaper. Does Boxcast, do you have to pay for their hardware that they send you as well? Or is that part of the $99 a month? I would hope so. So we're in it for about $250 plus the web presenter HD was $500. So we're $750 for the year. Is still really cheap for what we're doing, I'd say. And Drew, love the attitude. Thanks for all the feedback. It is appreciated. I think you're on the right track as far as what you're doing there. Just probably having some more volunteers would help. So watch my video about getting volunteers if you're having trouble with that. That's the day we live in, though, right? We all need all this tech stuff, and nobody wants to. Everybody's scared to come to church, which I get it. No judgment there. So it's another reason I love Restream is that, you know, I've got a volunteer every Sunday, a 16-year-old girl that was part of my media team who directed many weeks. And she just has not felt comfortable coming back to church. But with Restream, she can download the chat app on her computer, and no matter where she is at that Sunday morning, she can moderate, and she moderates our streams. She chats with people. She's the chat host. And I did a bunch of training with her through Life Church on their resources. I forget what it's called. Maybe it's just called their resources deal. They have a whole training for how to train people that are doing chat hosts. And so we went through all that. She has resources, you know, if people say things like, you know, needing prayer for a certain thing. So that's one thing I love about Restream as well. Joey says that they use Vimeo, $900 a year, but it archives our videos as well and gives us security features. Gives you security features. What do you mean? We use Vimeo Pro for just back-end saving of other videos that we create. But I mean, YouTube is saving all of archiving our videos as well. Restream saves your recording for 3 weeks, I believe, and you can go in and download just the audio or the video. So that's kind of what we're doing. Yeah, but a lot of people use Vimeo and have been happy with it. I'm a little scared, though, that Vimeo one of these days is just going to be like, sorry, guys, we just can't make it work anymore. So, looks like it's time for me to end the stream because my wife is calling. And I'm ready to go home. Friday's my day off, but we do have a funeral here tomorrow, so I'll be back in the office for a minute. So that's why I wanted to do the stream today instead of Friday with everything that's happening here at our church. If you guys have any questions for me, you can always just drop them in the comments section of this video, and I will try to get back to you and answer them. Or even better yet, I've been doing 1 or 2 a week of these kind of coaching calls where we hop on together on Zoom, and I'll just talk through whatever specifically you want to ask me about, whether that's tech stuff or worship ministry things, and that is all done through my Jimmy profile. So there's a link in the description of this video that you can go on and go ahead and click on whatever option you want to do, whether it's just, chat via email or do a video call. And I think a 30-minute call is $30. So I appreciate that. Obviously, this YouTube thing, it's monetized now. And, man, I'm just raking in the dough, guys. It's just amazing. No. But it's fun, and I like giving back to the community, things that I'm learning, and just kind of doing this with you guys. So I hope that y'all have a great weekend. And also, remember, we can do a lot of great things, but let's do it all for the right reasons. See you in the next one.